Welcome back to Let's Play Planet Coaster here on Theme Park Worldwide. It's episode 21 of Project Globe Explorer, and in this episode I'm going to be starting work on the 7th themed area within the Atlas Adventure Resort. And as he announced at the end of the previous episode, it is going to be based all around the continent of Antarctica. So yes, it's our 7th themed area, and it's the second to actually be based on a continent. Of course, we did Africa across the previous 2 episodes, and it seems like you guys really enjoyed what I did with that. One of the smaller areas, however, it's come together really nicely with 3 different attractions. We've got the wooden roller coaster that we've already named, and I'm going to be naming the boat ride and also the Gerstlauer Skyfly later in this episode, because you guys have been commenting below with some brilliant name suggestions and stories for those rides, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be coming up. But yes, welcome to Antarctica, and there's going to be a big standout ride in this area. As you can see by the video title and what we've already done in the first minute of this video, it's going to be a dark ride, and it's going to be something completely different to what I've done before, because it's all based around Antarctica. It's a cold theme. There's going to be snow on the ground, trees covered in snow, and we're going to have this big signature dark ride at the back, which is going to be a boat ride, high capacity. It's going to feature a drop that I'm literally just about to put in there now, but as you know, with building a dark ride in Planet Coaster, you know, that putting the ride system in is the easy part. I mean, this is footage that took about 10 minutes to record. Of course, everything's always sped up what I do here. But yeah, with this, you know, putting in the ride system is the easy part. It's everything else what takes the time. It's the building, it's the theming, and just getting the ambience right. So there we go. That is the ride itself within the first like 2 minutes of the video. But as you're going to see throughout this episode, it's going to be a lot to put all the theming in, and especially with Planet Coaster and how it works. So obviously you can have like a snowy terrain, you can like paint the terrain, you know, whatever colour you want really, but you can't actually do it as snow unless you're in a snowy sort of scenario, if that makes sense. So just in this normal sandbox like this, we can't actually paint the snow on the ground, if that makes any sense, just with how the game works. And I believe, I did a bit of research, I believe it's all just due to, you know, like keeping the FPS up and how the game runs on many people's machines and stuff, you know. So yeah, they couldn't like have a big variety of different ways of painting the ground in every scenario. Like you know, if they wanted to put snow in this, you'd have to take away some of the rocks and stuff maybe. So it's just how the game was programmed, which of course, you know, isn't great for doing this, but if you want to do a snowy area along with everything else in a big themed area like this, because we haven't got like the alpine style flooring. However, I'm going to make the best of it with this area. It's, when you think about it, the dark ride is going to be the main focus of this. There's going to be, you know, a small bit of the area out the front. I'm planning on putting in maybe a couple of flat rides there, but in terms of the space this area is going to take up, it'll be similar to that of Africa and what we did. So yeah, in terms of the building, as you can see, starting to put the show building up all the way around the side. And you might be thinking, you know, okay, what's this going to be all themed around? Obviously Antarctica is the area, but what's the dark ride itself? What's going to happen on there? At this point, when I was building it, I didn't really know. I knew that I wanted to have some sort of live action scene would cause the boat to go down this drop and into like this blizzard, and you've got all these snowy rocks going around the side, and you know that this transition of going from at the top there down to the bottom here and into this show scene. So at that point when I was building it, I didn't really know. But I have, of course, as the ride develops, come up with a bit of an idea for it. However, I want you guys to sort of enhance the story even more with that, and I'll talk more about that later on. Of course, with all the other rides in this part, you can be naming this one down in the comments, and also extending on the light story that I'm going to give you guys for this one. I mean, you're all very creative when it comes to coming up with names and different storylines. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with this one. So yeah, as you can see, we've put the ride system in, started to work on the show building. I always say don't put your roof in until you've really finished what you want to do inside. You know, in general that works. Of course, you might want to put some theming on the roof and stuff. With this, I don't intend to do that because I just want it to look like a snowy sort of landscape in there, you know, and just like a snowy sky, you know, like if you look up into the air and when it's snowing, you know, and you just see like the white sky. That's kind of what I want the effect to look like inside this ride. But normally, you know, I might put some smaller bits of roofing and then add some theming like wooden beams and stuff, depending on what you was doing, you know. So yeah, it's all about sort of putting these white walls in just to separate the scenes, and this is what takes the time with the dark ride, and a lot of people do seem to struggle to know when to sort of start and where to start with doing a dark ride. My advice is, you know, put the ride system in first, start putting your outer building in, and then start putting in your smaller rooms what are going to separate it off. I mean, you can see there I'm working on the walls around the station, and this will be the first scene now of the ride. So as I said a few minutes ago, I've come up with a bit of a light story for this, and I want you guys to build on that more with your own ideas and also what I'm putting in with the ride in terms of the theming. But yeah, so what I've come up with is, of course, Antarctica has got a very, very low population. In fact, people mostly go out there seasonally, and it's mostly for research purposes, and that's kind of what I'm going to go with this ride. So we've got this whole sort of research facility look of the building. That's why, you know, we've got this blue strip going around the side. That's going to be like the colour scheme of this research facility. You know, I'm thinking on the outside we'll have things like some helicopters and all that kind of stuff, just to, you know, build it up like this big research facility. And of course on the inside you start off in the station, which will be part of this research centre, that's doing research on all sorts of like geology, and that includes like rocks, glaciers, just the land sort of itself in Antarctica, because that is what goes on out there, you know, research into all that kind of stuff. But then I wanted to sort of, you know, you go into this section, into this building, and then you go outside, and when you come back in, you know, something's gone wrong, so you have to escape from that section of the sort of research centre, and that's where you'll drop down on the ride, and then everything will be normal again. And you know, so it's not the longest of dark rides. We're looking at maybe just under 4 minutes in length for it to go round there. So it's all about thinking about what, you know, you can do with the story in that time, and that's kind of what we're going with. So it's going to start off in this research centre. You'll head outside into this first scene where we've got these buildings and stuff where people do live, you know, which is kind of on the outside of where the research is all taking place. Of course, you know, they also do sort of look into things like earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, glacier movement, all the different types of rocks. You know, it'd be the perfect place for me to go, wouldn't it? Loving rocks. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're going with the whole sort of storyline with this ride. Research taking place and something going a little bit wrong in Antarctica. So yeah, it's, in terms of how it's coming together, quite pleased with it so far. We've got the trough in the middle, all the rocks and snow going all around the side, like lumps of snow. You can see I've put some on the rooftops there as well, and obviously on the outside we want it to still look like this sort of metal building, so I'm putting like the snowy walls just on the inside there just to cover that in. That's part of the research centre, what's going to be going in there. You can see, you know, we're using all the steel corrugated walls with the blue strip, because like I say, that's the, you know, like the colour scheme of this research centre, what's taking place out there. And we'll have some satellite dishes on top and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's serious stuff what they do out there. You know, I never realised quite how much until I did some research. Another reason that I went for the blue is, A, it looks nice and cold and fits with the snowy feel, but also the big giga coaster behind it. You know, I thought it'd fit in beautifully, because when you've got a ride like that, you've got to think about how that's going to blend in with the area. The good thing is, when you're going to be standing out the front of this dark ride, you'll see the giga in the background, and the white supports and the blue track will fit in with this overall theme here. So not going to lie, when I was designing the giga coaster quite a while back now, I was thinking about doing Antarctica in front of it. So that's kind of why I wanted to go with that sort of theme, and it fit with the sky as well in New York. So I thought that'd be a good sort of idea to do, but now that's all coming to fruition and coming together really well. So as you can see, we've got various different residences, and you know, a lot of these would be like temporary sort of buildings, you know, that aren't lived in all year. It's just people who are going out there to come and work at this centre and do all of these tests, and a bit of a mysterious place. You know, nobody really knows exactly what's going on inside, and that's kind of the idea that we're going with this one. And so yeah, like now it's working on the lift hill there, and of course that's going to take the boats up ready for that drop a little bit later on in the ride. So as you can see, see, putting in some of the roof there, which is going to sort of block that in, and that's where you're going to be inside. You're going to go into this little wooden sort of shack, you know, where I want you guys to come up with the story as to why you're going into this like little wooden cabin, you know. But you're going into there. There's going to be a small outdoor section of the ride that'll give you a bit of an overview of the area. Of course, we're going to build a bit of a berm around it, put some snowy trees on there, similar to these ones that we've put inside the dark ride, and sort of build on that. But yeah, you know, I've certainly not made it easy. I could have just done like a big pirate ride with loads of theming that's available in the game and happy days, but I don't like it to be easy sometimes. You know, I like to do a bit of a challenge. As much I'd love to do a pirate dark ride at some point, not in this park, but in the future, because you got to think I've actually done a pirate ride. However, back then, you know, with Planet Coaster, it was in my first ever park I built in the game. You couldn't actually get just a normal boat ride like this. You know, I actually used a tracked like Christmas sleigh ride, because I remember that was the first type of dark ride you could get in the game. And if you go back to my first series 4 years ago now, and you can watch me build that. Because I did it. It was a really good pirate ride, but obviously it was a tracked ride because a boat ride didn't exist. I mean, I could do something amazing with pirates now with this style ride, but obviously with me wanting to do Antarctica, it's kind of playing about with theming and trying different things, because there isn't a lot of theming available for your snowy style theming, you know, and what there is a lot of Christmassy stuff. But as you'll see, I do utilise some of that Christmas style theming a little bit later on in the ride. So, like I say, it's all about separating your sections off so you don't really realise that there you're in a big room. However, we've made it small so you don't realise the size of some of these buildings that you're actually in. Just to sort of cover it all in a little bit, putting some wooden panels on the side there. And that's the overall sort of thing with this. You know, I don't draw up a plan before with when I'm doing dark rides or anything like that. I just go with the flow and see how it looks, you know. Putting all these windows in, we'll have some curtains and stuff on there. It's going to be a fireplace in this room as well. Quite a warm sort of log cabin sort of feel, but I'm not too sure how that's going to fit in with the story yet. I'll let you guys think of that one, because you're fantastic at that sort of stuff, and it keeps the series nice and interactive, just how I like it to be. I did decide though that I wanted to have a little outdoor section on this. You know, I was thinking, do I want one or not? But then I thought, actually, no, I do want a little outdoor section, because that can be built into the story, that you come off this lift hill into this little wooden cabin, and then you're outside, and then all of a sudden you're going to come back in, and you're going to have this big scene that's got like this big sort of ship in the middle that's like a shipwreck. All the ice has just sort of frozen it into the land, you know, and because of that, some research was taking place on it. However, you know, some sort of explosions happened and it's all started to catch fire, and there's this storm going on with all lightning bolts. That's going to be the room full of special effects, and that's going to be in this large room just behind where I'm working now. And of course, yeah, that's going to be a massive part of this ride. But yes, you'll of course see all of that when that's complete. I'm not going to show you me building all of the scenes in this episode. I'm going to leave some bits as a bit of a surprise for the next episode, because that's when we're going to be working more on the special effects. And this next room that I'm going to be working on in this, you know, is mostly going to be about the special effects. So I'm going to talk more about that in the next episode and save it for then. I don't sort of want to repeat myself showing you putting that in here and then, you know, going into more detail with it in the next episode. So that'll be coming up then. So you can just kind of see it there now. I've worked on it, and we'll go more into detail with that in episode 22. But as you can see, the boats are going to make their way down the drop, out of where everything goes wrong with all those special effects, back into some sort of wooden cabin, and then into the final scene of the ride. So that's kind of what I'm working on here now. I've put this wider trough in just to allow me to play about a bit more with it. Means you can put various different items floating in the water and have all that kind of feel going on with it there as well. So, you know, it's quite hard to theme something up like this, especially when there's not a lot of theming items in the game. Of course, I could make things, but I still like to use the official stuff from the game, really. You know, I still think a lot of the stuff what gets made is fantastic, but I just like using the in-game stuff. You know, it's like when I built things in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, you could always download stuff, you know, from like the Amazing Earth and all these other websites and stuff, but it wasn't the same as when it was official stuff from the game. So that's kind of what I'm trying to stick with this here as well. Plus, everything what I've done in this park has all been built with in-game stuff, you know, which means that you guys can look at it and put it in your own parks, you know. You don't need to start downloading bits and thinking about making custom stuff. And sometimes, you haven't got the time to build loads of custom scenery, you know. It's nice using what's already available in the game. And that's what you've paid for at the end of the day, you know. And I like to make the most of what there is and push the game to its limits, you know, instead of starting to make too much custom stuff to import into the game. You know, there's enough variety with some bits that you can make things work, can't you? You know, it's like with this, we've got a few bits of snowy stuff. It's a snow themed ride, so yeah, we can get away with it and do it. It's all about them sections and blocking things off, like I say. And, you know, like when you go on a ride like Pirates of the Caribbean, it's multi-level, so much going on to look at, but then you don't need to really concentrate on what's behind you as such. You know, if you turn around on Pirates of the Caribbean, you don't really see a lot at all. You know, these rides are designed for looking front on, and that's the whole idea with it, and how this is coming together. We've got this snowman up at the top. Of course, we've escaped everything what's going to be going on up at the top. And everything's much more happy now. We're going to go through this cabin and then into the big finale sort of big scene of the ride. We're putting all the snowy walls in there. There's going to be all sorts of buildings in there with all lights on. It's all very happy because they've got whatever happened under control. Like I say, that's all going to be up to you guys to come up with. So I'll be looking for some amazing suggestions in the comments for this one. And then you'll end back in the test centre, which is this small little room we're doing at the end. I didn't want to go too sci-fi with it. I thought we'll just have a small little room at the end, which will be the final scene before you go back into the station. But anyway, as I'm doing some work over the next couple of minutes, we'll leave you with some more relaxing Planet Coaster music, and then yeah, I'll come back shortly and talk more about what I've done. So as you can see, I'm now working in the final major scene of the ride, and like I say, at this point everything's going to be back to normal. All the buildings are going to be celebrating, still covered in snow, of course, it's Antarctica, but all celebrating that whatever has gone wrong with the testing that was taking place has now been resolved, and all the buildings are going to have all lights on. It's going to look very festive, very Christmassy sort of feel that we're going with this, a bit like on It's a Small World at the Disney parks, where you go into that finale scene, you know, and you've got all the lights going and everyone's really happy and joyful. I know the whole ride's got quite a happy feel, whereas of course this hasn't. You know, there's going to be this major destruction at one point. However, you know, in general, I want it to have that vibe that you get in that final room of It's a Small World, or basically the whole of It's a Small World, you know, just in this final little room. Except we're not going to have like little dancing dolls and stuff going around. But, you know, it's going to, just have all these buildings with a snowy feel, some nice lights and all that sort of stuff. And then, of course, you'll head back into the very final scene of the ride, which is back inside that research testing centre. Anyway, let's have a throwback then to the previous episode and Africa. As I continue with all this, putting in the snow just here, completely the opposite now to another continent, back over to Africa. If you want to see me working on that area, it was in the previous 2 episodes, 19 and 20. In 19, I built a wooden roller coaster that looks really good. You know, I was really pleased how that all came together. And the name for that we chose was Kukanyaga, and that was from YouTube user Nemesis Amiga, or Omega as we say, you know, and that was done a couple of weeks back, you know, in that episode. I did need names for the Gersthaus Skyfly and the boat ride, and that is what I'm going to reveal now. So a big thank you to DZ Studios, who's come up with the name for the Gersthaus Skyfly, and it's Iriluka. There we go. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I really like it. It just fits really well with Kukanyaga and Iriluka. I just really like that. But here's the storyline for it. Really creative, this one. A failed pilot crashed in the middle of the river. The local citizens were very impressed with the technology, so the pilot decided to teach his knowledge. Unfortunately, it went a little wrong. Years later, he developed a mechanism that could lift students up high, and it was a great success. So that kind of goes with the whole, you know, oh, it's a ride, what we're working on. But yeah, I really like that. So thank you for that suggestion there, DZ Studios. And then for the boat ride, big thank you to YouTube user Funky Fox for this one. Great name. Fish River Canyon, the legends. Now, Fish River Canyon actually exists over in Africa, and this person's put a bit of a twist on it all. So I really like what they've done with this. So, Fish River Canyon, the legend. When someone fell down the ravine and was never found, legends made up of the soul of the person still linger around the canyon and have dance parties every night with crocodiles and hippos in the river nearby. One day, the rope bridge collapsed. Around 4 people fell, but the soul came. He saved everyone that day, and no one knows who did it. The next day, when people came back, the bridge had been completely rebuilt. No one knows how or why. So there you go. It's the legend of Fish River Canyon, and quite a dark and mysterious story, but I think it works really well. So yeah, I'm loving that. So thank you very much for Funky Fox for coming up with that one. Like I say, I'm going to need a name for this dark ride and also the story. Look at all these different scenes that I've put in. Think about that story, what I've already said to you guys, that, you know, very minimal story. You know, I want you guys to build on that. And of course, I'm going to do some classic Sean narration for that, for all the way through. Same with the boat ride in the Africa area. I am going to do narration for that as well. However, I'm going to wait now until I do sort of the final video from the park, really, you know, and go through everything again. A bit of an overview like I did a few episodes back, but going over every area and like a bit of a promotional video. So I'm going to save it for that. But in the next episode, I will take you on board this dark ride with all the audio and my voiceover and everything like that in there. Because I know that, you know, you want it, don't you? It'll be a laugh. We always have a laugh when I do these voiceovers. So yeah, I'll try my best for you guys, and we'll do something funny but productive, and it'll come together really well with this dark ride. So as you can see, just putting in all these lights and stuff now, making it that happy sort of finale to the ride. Everything's gone fine. Then you'll leave this room into the research centre for your final visit into there, and everything's gone back to normal. You know, research can continue as normal. So yeah, that's the feel that we've got going on with this. In terms of filling the space, you know, I didn't want the dark ride to be too big, because I think I'd have struggled, you know, if I'd have had to do another couple of scenes in this, I think I'd have struggled to know what to put in there using what's already in the game. I was thinking about doing a section with screens actually, but then I thought, no, you know, because I'm not a big fan of screen-based stuff anyway in real theme parks. I thought, no, let's stay away with that. Let's go for physical set pieces. You know, there's enough I can work with this sort of theme, and yeah, I think it's, you know, it's coming together quite well considering what there is in the game. You know, there is still enough to work with. I would have liked some more stuff, but you know, there's enough to do what I've done. This is using all the sci-fi stuff now as we go into the research centre. This is the first sort of time during the ride you actually go into the research centre. You know, even though the exterior of the ride is going to be themed to look like the whole thing, that's just so it fits in with the area, and it's going to be very blue, grey and red as the colour scheme, a bit like them steps are there. That's going to continue on the outside. You know, we're going to go with a blue and red sort of look to the building, and like I say, it'll have a very sort of industrial feel. Yeah, the whole exterior is what I'm going to work on in the next episode. There'll be a POV of the ride. I'll reveal the name and the story that you guys have come up with, and also going to put in a couple of flat rides. I'm not too sure yet what I'm going to put in out the front, but yeah, you know, I'm going to put in some flat rides out there. Maybe look at a Huss Giant Discovery or something like that, you know, and put something like that out the front, you know, like one of the gyro swings, that sort of idea might work out there. May look at, you know, a Dodgems possibly, maybe an Enterprise, you know, keep it quite, you know, futuristic. So we'll see with that one, you know, I'll work on that in the next episode. But yeah, it'll all come together really nicely, and obviously I'm going to have to work a bit harder with the outside than the inside here, because I've got to make the outside look snowy without being able to paint it, because you just can't do that in this scenario. So it's one of those, isn't it? Like in this sandbox mode, I can't do that. Because like I said earlier on, you know, you need to have it in that sort of terrain style for you to be able to put snow down. So it's one of those things, isn't it? I'm not a big fan of that, but I can see why they've done it, because the game, you know, it would be lagging even more than it already is. To be honest, I'm just pleased I managed to do 7 areas, and this will be the last themed area that I'm going to be building in this part, because like I say, you know, I'm going to be building some hotels and all the resort side to it as well, and then it leaves another couple of areas of expansion for you guys to, if you want to download this part when I've finished with it and work on, you can do, you know, you can add your own little bits into the park. But yeah, that's all to look forward to. You know, we've still got quite a few episodes left in this series, because obviously we've got the next one where I'm going to be building all of this area for Antarctica and trying to make it blend in somehow. You know, it's going to be quite hard to do that. Following on from that, going to be working on transportation all around the outside of the theme park. We've got a wonderful train that takes you around the park and a monorail that connects the car parks to the entrance, but we need hotel transportation and using all them rivers, so that's the plan with that. And following on from that, it's going to be building a few different themed hotels, you know, so, and just working on that area from the car parks down to the entrance of the park. So that's a bit of an idea of the next maybe 3 or 4 episodes of this. You know, I'm not going to say how many episodes there is left of the series, but you know, that's what we're looking at the moment in terms of the next things I'm going to be working on. Putting the roof on now because I've pretty much done with the theming inside. Like I say, that scene that I didn't really cover in this episode, I will be talking all about when we work on the lighting and special effects for this dark ride in the next episode, because there's quite a few effects, especially in that room, that I want to happen. So, and this is just a little sneak peek really at what the exterior is going to look like with the blue, and there's going to be some red in there as well, like I say, and blending it all together. And the coaster works really well behind it. I'm really pleased with that. There's a little look at that scene that we're going to be working on, and yeah, that does mean we've come to the end of the episode. So get your name suggestions coming in, get your stories coming in. I look forward to reading them throughout the next few days, and of course come and join us again soon for episode 22 of Let's Play Planet Coaster Globe Explorer. I'm Sean Sandbrook, thanks for watching, and that means it's time to cue those credits. See you all soon.